Hey, this is Brian with King Grizzly. I'm excited for today's Elementor video. I want to try to make a multi-layer parallax effect using Elementor, and we're going to try to replicate this really neat one found on the firewatchgame.com website. This is an old game. I haven't actually tried it, but I am in the design community, and these guys came out with some amazing artwork when they released this game multiple years ago. But you can see they've got this neat effect where you've got this sort of like the sun in the background and multiple layers of trees and rocks and things. And I think there's 7 or 8 layers. If we inspect this, you can see there's these divs, and the divs each have a background PNG. So if I go to the different divs, we can check them out. So what I did is I went ahead and scraped out those images from there, so we can just test out trying to replicate something similar. So I fiddle around in Elementor, and you can see here's the builder. I'm in the builder view, and as you can see, came up with something comparable. It could be tweaked. I'm sure somebody could get it pretty much spot on, but I was happy to see that. Whoa, yeah, actually, this is possible. So I'm going to show you how I did that, and see what people think. So we're going to go ahead and delete all this and start from scratch. So let's get rid of our sections. Okay, so we have nothing on the page. What we want to do is add a new section. We're going to want to make sure Navigator's turned on. So right click and turn on Navigator if you don't have it. Then we're going to click on that section, and we want to make sure it's set to full width. We also want to go and make some changes here. We don't want any column gap. Let's change that to no gap. I'm going to change the height to fit to the screen because we want this to be an immersive full screen effect. Column position, we could set it to bottom. I'm going to try stretch. We'll see how that works. Vertical line, bottom. Overflow, we'll hide any overflow. Let's go to advanced on that section, and we want to clear out the margin, clear out the padding. Let's open up the section here, click on the column. We want to go to advanced and clear out the margin and padding. We just want to make sure this thing is flush. You'll see there's still a little gap here on this dotted line to the edge, and what that is widget space by default. So Elementor in the master settings, you can set a default sort of spacing between the different widgets. It's usually set to something like 20. I need to zero that out. And I may be forgetting something. I'm not sure. We'll know once we pull an image in. So let's go ahead and grab an image. So the way to do this is to stack images using absolute positioning. Elementor can have multiple layers of backgrounds, but you can only have 2 per section, background and a background overlay. So to get an effect like Firewatch, you'd have to have multiple sections with multiple backgrounds each, and then use a negative margin on the top of the lower sections to try to line them all up and stack them. It would get crazy. So what we want to do is stack images instead inside of one section. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and make the width 100% because I want my image all the way to the sides. There we go. Let's go get the image. Choose one. So I've got multiple layers here. We'll start with the one furthest in the back, and it looks like it's working. It goes edge to edge. It's not overflowing. So it looks good, right? So what we want to do is I'm going to duplicate that. But now we've got 2, right? So they're sort of stacked on top of each other. I'm going to click on the second, and I'm going to choose, this layer here. So now we've got 2 images, and since it's set to fit to screen, it's getting a little confused about how to stack them. So what we need to do anyway is click on the images and start making them absolutely positioned. So click on an image, go to advanced, and then positioning, and we're going to choose absolute. And while we're at it, we want to align to the bottom. So once you choose absolute, there's these alignment options. I'm going to choose bottom, and then I'm going to click on the next layer. And this layer I actually want to be on top. And I'm going to set that to absolute. Now the order is not right. And the way we can control that is by setting Z index. So we go to the very back image, or what we want to be the back, click advance, set the Z index to 1. Z index is the equivalent of like a layer order. Then I'm going to click on the other image using Navigator. You can see how Navigator is useful here. And then I'm going to click 2. And also I want to make sure that I align that to the bottom. Now we're getting it, right? So we've got these two images that are sitting on top of each other. So then I want to duplicate this. I'm going to click on that. Grab the next layer, insert. Got to get my Z index sorted out, so I'll set that to 3. Duplicate that. Click on the topmost layer. Go choose the next image in our stack, which appears to be this one. I'm going to insert that. Go to my Z index, set it to 4. I'm going to go ahead and do this for all the layers and then sign back in. Okay, so I'm getting close. I'm getting up to the layer. I'm going to duplicate another one. Getting up to the layer that actually has the guy on the rock. So I'm going to click on him. Insert. There he is. Adjust my Z index. And then I think I've got one more. Click on the topmost layer. Choose the final layer. We don't have the logo layer in yet. We'll put that in a bit. And then I need to change the Z index here. So now we've got this really cool stack of images. They're all stacked. They don't move. Let's add another section here just to give ourselves some content below that's, can scroll. And I'm just setting the background color of that section to be somewhere in the ballpark of what's above. The way I did it was by taking a little screenshot of this bottom area, pasted it into Photoshop, and used the eyedropper to get that color. And while we're at it, you'll notice this airspace up here could use a color. So I think I'll just go ahead and screenshot this sort of gold color. I'm going to go to Photoshop, paste it. It's off screen, sorry. And then copy that value. And then we're going to make a background color for that section by clicking style, then the little brush and the color. And we'll paste that in. Oh, and I didn't get a match. Okay. Took me 2 tries, but I got it. All right, so now we've got another section down here. I'll throw in a heading just to give it some space. And okay. So we've got this section below. Maybe give it some height. There. All right, so now how do we make the layers actually move? What we want to do is start to fiddle with motion settings. So I'm clicking on the first layer. It would be a good idea to name all these so you can stay sane. Go to advanced for that image, and then we want to try out motion effects. And we want motion effects on scroll and vertical scroll. So we turn it on, we choose vertical scroll. So what we want to happen is, if we look at Firewatch, some of the farther layers, they either stay put or they go down a bit, and then the foreground comes up pretty fast. So we want to approximate that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the distance to go down, and I actually I'm just going to max out how fast it goes down. So you can see that that background's going, it's definitely going down. We can work on getting this just right. When you set a vertical scroll speed, it's going to move the image a bit. We can adjust that here when we're ready. So actually, let's just go for it. We'll click on positioning, and I have some offsets I can do. So vertically, I can offset that image. If it was up higher than I wanted, I can fiddle with it until I get it kind of where I want, and then experiment with that. So what I'll do is I'm going to start going through these layers. The layer 2 here, go to motion effects, turn on scrolling effects, go to vertical scroll. I'm going to set this one to down. And the last one was going down at a speed of 10, so I don't know, I'll try 8. And now maybe I'm realizing, oh, I probably didn't need to adjust that positioning on the first one. I'm going to turn that offset off. Well, maybe I did if you look at that. it takes some fiddling to figure it out, right? And especially by screen size. So we'll just have to test it out, but you can see it's starting to work. So I can go through these layers and just start to play with that vertical scrolling. And then there'll be a point at which, instead of saying go down, we're going to want stuff to go up. You can also control at what point in the viewport will it start the effect. Like you could say, wait until someone's 50% down before doing this. So now we've got a few layers that are doing that, right? And we'll just work our way through. And when we get to the foreground, we're going to want the first few layers to actually kind of pull up pretty fast. So I will go ahead and keep going through, setting the motion effect, turning on scrolling, turning on vertical scroll. The last one was 6. I'll try 4 for this one. The next layer, and it gets confusing. We've got so many layers. Oops, motion effects, scrolling, vertical scroll. I think I'm down to something like 2. I was just offsetting them by 2. How many layers are left? Still 4. So maybe this one we could try motion effect, offset it by, I guess it doesn't really matter which direction. We're just going to say 0. Maybe that one stays put. And then we're going to start going up. So on the next one, I'm going to do motion effects, vertical, but I'm going to say, let's go up. And I'll just leave 4 and see what that's like. Interesting. Looks like I may have missed a layer in there. There's a rocky layer up there. Then we'll go to image. 2 to go. 2 to go. We can get this right. Motion effects, scrolling effects, vertical scroll, up. I really want it to go up pretty fast. Like I'm gonna max out the hiker guy. I want him to go up fast. And then we've got this very foreground. Excuse me. This one, it's funny. I already maxed out the hiker. Elementor is funny this way, so I could slide this up, but it'd be the same speed as the hiker. I want it to go even faster, so I'm going to try 15. You can manually type in values sometimes in Elementor, and they'll work. Now I'm noticing the way that these layers are going, they're not, the bottom of them looks weird. So we need to figure out what to do about that, but actually the effect is getting pretty good. I need to figure out that one, rock right there is bugging me. So what layer is that? Let's see if we can find it. I want that one to go down. I may have just missed it. Let's find it. Bear with me, it'll be worth it. Okay, I think I found it. So I don't like how it's moving up. I'm going to advanced. And what did I set it to up when I meant to set it to down. There we go. That's looking much better. Check that out. So cool. All right, let's see. What are our options for dealing with these strange overlays on the bottom? Okay, so I've been thinking about this, and I think there's a couple ways we can solve this. One could be you take that next section, set the z-index higher than all the layers. Right, so that helps a bit. And then potentially you could set a motion effect that matches whatever this foreground layer is doing. So it's moving at the same speed. That could possibly work. But what I'm going to do is, in my section here, I'm going to take my foremost layer and I'm going to tweak the image so it's got some extra to it. So I grabbed one that was cropped very close to the bottom of the image, but I want to actually have a lot of extra on that front image so it has room to scroll up without creating that weird gap at the bottom. So I've got this alternate version of that front image where I just built on a bunch extra. I'm going to insert that. The image is so tall. It positions kind of weird, right? So we can actually go click on that image, go to positioning, And I can adjust the offset vertically of that particular image. So I need it to go down here. Hey, buddy, like, so then as you scroll, oops, a little buggy to get this set up sometimes. So I may play with, instead of moving it by pixels, I might just by vertical height. There, that's looking better, and it manages the overlap better. And then we could even fiddle with, on this next section, like I said, a little bit of a motion drift, so it sort of moves up, or a little bit of a negative margin. But now we're starting to look pretty good, right? We've got that effect of things flattening out and the foreground's moving up pretty fast. On this foreground here, I can fiddle with the speed at which this one moves up. So right now I've got it at 15, but maybe I need it at a faster speed. So we're pretty close to the original. We are missing the logo. And so I'll just throw that in there. I'm going to duplicate one of these middle layers. Duplicate. I'm going to go get the logo. I've got a cutout version of the logo. In the original one, they had the logo built into one of the layers. I cut it out and I've got it here. I like that. Insert media. It's 100% wide. I don't want it to be 100% wide. I'm going to let this one be a pixel width. Much smaller. And I can adjust the positioning of it. So we need to scoot it up. Can't remember which way this. There we go. So I need to find a size. So it takes some patience, but you can eventually get it. And then what we can do is the same as all the other layers. Play with the motion effects. Set up vertical scroll on it. In the original, the logo drops pretty fast. The logo version I have, I managed to mess up the color. It's not as dark as theirs. Let's see. I want mine to go down, and I want it to go down faster. There, that looks better. And might want to set a little bit of an offset on it at the beginning, just to get it higher on the screen. So there we go. As you can see, it takes some work, takes some patience, but it is totally possible. You'd have to go through at all your breakpoint sizes and adjust. And you can also turn off the motion on a breakpoint size. So like I can click on an image, go to advanced, here's the motion effects, and I can say, hey, I don't want this. Mobile's not going to be able to handle this, or whatever. Turn it off or leave it on. So I think there we have it. We're fairly close to the original Firewatch. You know, the images could need maybe a little bit of work, the ones I use, but it's pretty awesome what Elementor can do without having to write any code. So curious what other people's results are. Let us know, and please consider subscribing. We're going to put out more Elementor videos. So thanks for watching and have a good day.